Thank you guys so much for being here, Salon Centric. Thank you so much for having me on your page today. I want to share with you guys some fall toning, really some fall blonding too a little bit, where a lot of our clients, we see they want to go from bright blondes to more those bronze tones. And Joico has come out with 3 new shades. I'm not sure if you guys have tried them yet. These come in different tones as well, or sorry, different levels as well, and they come in 3 tones. A 7G, we have a 7NB, and a 7WC. If you're a Joico user, then you guys will agree with me that these 3 shades have been missing from the lineup, and I'm so happy that they are here. I'm able to achieve so many different tones and colors, cowboy copper trends, the bonding, all of that with these shades. So that's exactly what I want to share with you guys today, especially if you guys are newer to the LumiShine shades. I went ahead and pre-did 3 of these shades for you guys. I kept them all in a level 7 because I want you to really see the true tones and levels that you're gonna get. So this is our 7WC, and this I let sit for 10 minutes, okay? This is on a doll head, so again, with the doll head, sometimes they, they don't have a cuticle the same that our clients do, so just taking that into consideration, but you can still see there's so much shine and reflection even on the doll head hair. This is the 7NB. And then here in the front, we have the 7G. So hopefully you guys can see that reflection and that shine that's happening. I'm hoping that's coming through on the camera for you guys. So what's so important is for you guys here to understand this is where our goal is at. So what I'm gonna show today is those tones actually processing, okay? Let me just give you an example in the bottle. How kind of scary this is, right? How warm this looks like this is oxidizing. This is the 7NB. And I want to share that with you guys right here working on a doll head so we can see that work and where you can find and kind of customize your magic toning numbers and what you're looking for out of your toners, right? We need those to be, we need our toners to work for us, right? So finding and using those and playing with them based on timing is huge, and also utilizing clear, okay? So I want to put this in the comments. How many of you guys out there utilize clear? Whatever line, whatever color line you're working with, how many of you guys utilize that in your toning? So I'm kind of curious where that goes, and then that will kind of help me decide what all we should chat about today. Okay, so let's jump into real quick some trends. It's fall, okay? So what I'm really seeing and what I'm seeing in LA and what I saw from New York Fashion Week, and then again, we just had Paris Fashion Week, is much softer face framing, okay? So we're moved out of those really intense money pieces. You guys, please don't take this as those are ugly if you're doing them, or those are bad, or those are wrong. None of those things are true. They are beautiful. But as the beauty professional, we help to evolve and kind of move our clients just to try different things, not because the last trend was bad or anything like that. It's just about evolving and being that beauty professional and coaching them into, hey, what do you think about trying a little bit softer face framing for the fall or for winter? So I really want to touch on that, and then also warmer tones. I feel like we've seen warmer tones now for a good solid year, and I love that they're sticking, because I feel like this is what creates a little bit more youthfulness, is that softer reflection. Okay, so I kind of want to share with you guys how I will tackle low lighting. Low lighting, when I first became a hairstylist, was one of the things I was intimidated by the most. I was like, oh my gosh, I have these bright blondes, especially working in LA. I have these super bright blondes, and now someone wants to go darker, and I'm terrified that that toner is just gonna, right? Suck it up. I'm gonna have muddy stripes all over the head. So I'm gonna share with you guys, because we're talking about this trending, bronding fall, kind of exactly how I do those. Now, this is on wet hair, okay? So if I was going to be doing this, let's say the start of the service, and I still, I was doing highlighting and all of that, that's a whole different process than what I'm showing you right now. This is your blonde girl who's, freshly been blonde, and she's like, I'm really ready for a change. This is exactly how I tackle this situation. We're gonna start with We'll go in with our 7G so you guys can kind of see how that oxidation works. And again, this is, she was pre-lightened. I do have a before photo I can pop up on my story after this live is over to share with you guys. So she's pre-lightened, I would say to about a level 8, 9, okay? And let's say now we want to drop her down. We're going to drop her down to this level 7 world is what she's, you know, let's pretend she's showing me that. First thing I would do is I would go in, oh, actually I gotta mix my color first. I would mix my color, is what I would do. The Lumishine is mixed with 5 volume coconut developer. I love using the coconut because it just adds a little bit more shine to it. Okay, so the first thing I would go in and I'd hit right at that top so that I'm making sure that I am getting all those highlights that she had. I'm kind of re-softening at the base. Diagonal back section, okay? I'm gonna use the guide, it right here is going to be her hairline. So when I draw this depth down, it's going to be to her hairline. So if you can imagine that as I work up the head and I draw to that hairline, that automatic beautiful depth I'm creating, but she's still gonna be the lightest and the brightest where it's important, right? Which is right on that hairline. Okay, so I set my guide in there, and now I'll go in with my weaving comb, and I'm gonna try to stay on the surface of this section, okay? So I'm not dipping. This is what I would consider a back-to-back weave where I'm going all the way through that section. I'm staying on top here because there's so many different ways you can create a low light, but if I'm gonna be pulling something all the way through the ends, I don't want it to go all the way through this section. That to me is going to end up feeling a little stripier than I want it to be. Okay, so 2 ways you can do this. Let me get I'm using a, this is a color track. What are these even called? Just like they're clear plastic slices through here because I want to watch this low light work. If this hair was super bright blonde right here, I want to make sure I can see what's going on. So here's what I would do. I continue that down, that base, through this low light. Now I'm going to keep painting. Now here's 2 different things I can do. 1, I can use my full concentrated formula and I can take it all the way through the ends. And what's that going to give me? That's going to give me the most depth, obviously, and the most dimension through my ends. Second to that, I can now use a separate formulation where I mix equal parts with clear. I can take my 7G, half part with my clear, and I continue that through my ends. Okay, now third option, and maybe in the comments you guys can guess or think about when you'd use each of those, and then I can kind of answer that. Third option, what I would do is I would take my conditioner. Okay, this is the Color Therapy by Joico, and I would put that almost just a nice, strong, solid line right on my ends of that, right where I took my toner to here, then I take my conditioner right to that, and now I'm gonna go through with my comb, and with 1 pass, I'm gonna take from here and I'm gonna comb all the way through those ends, okay? And without kind of going back in and doing this line again, I have to make sure that I'm wiping my product off of my brush. So I'll keep usually a wet towel next to me, then I can go in and kind of re-soften this line again. My biggest tip here, you guys, is make sure that you're going all the way through the ends on that first pass. Because what happens is we're grabbing product from here, we're dragging it down, and what we do a lot is we lift our comb out because we're nervous we're gonna get too much dark there. And that's where you start to get those kind of funky spots sometimes, and you're like, dang it, I really thought I was blending. I've done it 100 times. It's hard. It's really hard to do a low light. So don't beat yourself up either. This takes a lot of practice, and I actually will practice this a lot, or I used to practice this a lot on a clip-in. The clip-in will show you, or a doll head, it will show you every little mistake because that hair is so open, and it will show you if you're getting a perfect blend. So my biggest tip is you're taking that product and you're drawing it all the way through, because as I move from here all the way through the ends, less and less product is on my brush, so it's very soft as I'm bringing it through the ends. Okay, so Avery, are there any comments about people using clear? Has anyone said they
There's
use
a couple that said they do, and one doesn't. Some of them don't know how to use clear.
Okay, I love it. Okay, this is amazing. Okay, clear is going to open up a whole new world for you guys, no matter what color line you're in. What I will say is some color lines have their clears in their permanent line, okay? So that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about their demi-clears that you're going to mix into your toners. So what this can help you do, depending on how you mix it, this can help with whether it can slow down, okay, the process. It can give you a little bit more time to, sorry, I'm going to try to work too as I talk. It's kind of hard for me sometimes. So that can slow down your process big time for you. Or when you mix it to more than 2 parts to 1, okay, when you're mixing it past equal parts, it's actually then diluting down that color. So it'll take your 7, you could take it to an 8 if you needed to. In some of the lines that you guys use, if you find, like, let's say I wanted to have an 8NW or an 8NB instead of the 7NB, then I can use the clear in order to do that. If I want to jump to 10, I'll go to my 9 in my NB and kind of bump it from there. But you need to make sure that you're mixing and check with your kind of manufacturer on what those mixing ratios would be. But I love, love, love clear through my ends big time and my hairlines, okay? So let's say you even have a client where you're like, oh, I'm going to take them all over darker. They just want, they want to be a level 7 all over. I'm going to tone them all over. What I would do is I would mix my 7 through everything except for I would mix my 7 and my clear for their hairline, right? We always want to stay lighter and brighter around our faces. And I don't mean like where it's, you can really see like a huge pop. I'm not talking that when we're going deeper, but a slight shift, even by a half level or a full level, still gives that beautiful dimension around the front. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys with that. All right, so this is kind of how I would tackle. Oh, let's go back and talk about the 3 different ways, okay? Now, if I'm going to pull my straight 7G all the way through the ends, the only person I'm going to do this on is somebody who has maybe only just recently been highlighted once, okay? And she's not as porous as some of my clients who've been coming in and getting lightened, getting tipped out and all those things. That's the client that I'm going to go in with my conditioner, and she's who's going to get this first before any color goes over the top of that. And why? You guys all know, because she's so porous. I don't want my low light to have all this, this saturation and completely to suck up here where she's more porous than here. And I've been there too. It happens. And it's so frustrating when you're like, oh my gosh, like why does this low light look so stripey? And the client can see too, right? It's a pretty obvious one, I feel like, when you feel too stripey through the hair. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys. Using anything like this that's clear, like we don't need to trap in heat like we do. We don't need to keep the product moving like we do when we're highlighting. So you don't need to use a foil here. You can even use like sheets of saran if that's easier for you too. And I love that I can just watch this working over the blonde. You can really start to see it. Okay, so if you guys have questions on any of that stuff, please put it in the chat. Avery is here to help me manage some of these comments. And now what I really want to do is I want to show you guys these toners in action. So we're going to go through and let's do back through this back section. One other thing, sorry. When I am low lighting, I always start in the back. I'm sure you guys can guess too. If that happens to sit longer, if something's not working out for me, I can manage and see that way better happening in the back than starting right on the hairline. Now when I highlight, I start in the front because I want that the lightest and the brightest, and as soon as that foil is done, I will pull that and rinse. All right, so we're gonna start in the back with 7WC. Again, I chose all of the level 7s, mix them with 5 volume, and there's no strategy to this. There's no technique to this. I simply just want you guys to see a large section on the hair as it's processing. So this will be a nice quick live for you guys. You'll get a lot of information crammed in a short amount of time. I'll make sure I post some before and after photos so you guys can see. But I want you to watch this with me for 5 minutes. If If I can keep your attention on each section for 5 minutes, I want you guys to watch the toners work. When you start working with new brands or new products or even new tones, it's the oxidation part is sometimes scary, right? You're like, whoa, wait a second, that doesn't look like what I want it to. It doesn't look like it at the bowl. But knowing your brands and trusting your product is what makes, in my opinion, it's what makes me a better colorist, right? When we're nervous Nellies doing color, we're like, ooh, I don't know if it's gonna turn out, I'm not sure. That's like some of the worst feeling, right? Like just a bad feeling to feel not confident in what's going on. So I really, really encourage you guys to play with new toners and watch them at different levels. So if you're kind of like a flash tone person like me, flash toning is very quick toning. It means that I put the product on the bowl, put the product on the hair at the bowl, and I'm formulating based on knowing that I want to flash tone that section, okay? Or that highlight or that low light, whatever it is. I'm not going, typically, I don't let my color sit for 20 minutes. With the LumiShine, it is anywhere from 5 to up to 20 minutes toning, okay? So you can utilize that with how that works best for you. Oops, sorry, dropped my towel. How that works best for you as a colorist in the salon. That's what I love so much about demi-permanent colors, is using that toning time to your advantage. Okay, so let's pay attention to, Avery, what time do we got right now?
We're at 11:17.
Okay, so let's pay attention to this tone and let's watch. You guys see how warm that is and how, I mean, this looks straight orange, right? Pumpkin orange, if you guys can see that. That going over blonde might terrify some of us, right? We might be like, whoa, that's not exactly what I'm going for. But I want you guys to see then, right next to it, here's what our end result ends up being. And I did 10 minutes here, right? Not, oh, actually kind of, and this kind of looks a little, this is, actually it looks a lot softer in person than it does here. But you can see the shine on that. And it's still a beautiful color. It's not scary, right? We see the two next to each other. So these are the things that we really, oops, sorry, the light's all bright. We really need to learn as colorists when we are trying out these new toners. Okay, let's move on here. Let's move to the 7NB. Okay, here's the other thing that I will say. Actually, this one's kind of fascinating because, again, watch how orange this is, or appeals. Okay, like see that? Freshly placed. You guys see how warm that one is? Yeah, right? Looks terrifying when you're like, NB, hold on a second. This is supposed to be a little more neutral, maybe a little bit softer. And what's interesting is when you look at this on the color wheel, so that's the other thing, you guys, make sure you ask for your color wheel of whatever color line you're using, okay? I always ask our girl Ashley, can you please send me the color wheel for these tones? I wanna know exactly where this falls on a color wheel. The NB in the Joico LumiShine falls on the violet side, okay? So it has an undertone of neutral violet, okay? Everyone's NBs, anybody's NV, everything's gonna fall in different places. So it's our job to understand and not just take the name at face value. That's our job as a professional to research and find, okay, what is that? And you don't have to be what is even the word? There's kind of more like, I would say like type A and type B type stylists, right? Some of us are like, we geek out over formulas. We want to know what is the secondary color? What is, all these different things. And then there's some of us who are just like, I'm just going to do a little splish splash of this and a little splish splash of that. And I know it's going to be beautiful. Both work. They both definitely work. But even if you're going to splish splash, you need to know what the undertones are and where it lies on a color wheel. Okay, so if you guys can see this one looks yellow, right? You see that? So as I'm kind of moving this around, it was very orange. You can see it on my glove. And now as I'm kind of moving it through the hair, it's yellow, right? Which is so interesting. You're like, how is that gonna neutralize? So again, knowing your product and trusting the process through it. However, I'm not gonna lie, the first time I ever put these on, I was like, oh gosh, I don't think this is going where I want it to go, right? In my oxidation. Then you just give it a beat, give it a minute, and you start to learn. So let me see if I can show you guys. Let's see if we can compare across the head. Make sure my gloves are clean. Oh, actually, let's go like this. Okay, so can you guys see, is this showing up on camera? So see how yellow she is, but then you can see the section here, how beautiful and neutral that became, right? And again, my doll head side, this is at 10 minutes. We're gonna check these at 5. How are we doing over here on time, Avery? That was at 17.
11:21.
How many minutes is that, guys?
5, almost 5
3,
minutes.
4. Oh, it's 5. Yeah, we can count, right? Okay, let me just swipe a section here to show you guys what this is doing. Let's see if I pull some of this off. You guys can see, and then kind of start to learn, okay, how much more time do I want to go on there? Okay, you see that at 5? It's still very orange looking in the hair, okay? So for me, I'd be like, I don't think I'm quite there yet. For me, I think what I'm looking for is a little more depth, right, with the 7. So let's go ahead and leave that in, work that back through the hair, okay? Now, hopefully all this is making sense to you guys. The other way that you can utilize clear is if you're somebody who likes, let's say you don't want a flash tone, let's say that you do like your clients to sit at the bowl for 20 when they're doing their toning process, and they like to mask, like there is definitely that too. Then what I would say is add clear into your formulations for that. You don't need to do full equal parts. I would say like if you're an ounce girl like me, I'd say you're gonna throw in a ½ ounce, okay, in your total formulation, just to like slow it down. You're not taking away from the fact that it's gonna all of a sudden become a level 9 toner, but what you're doing is just giving yourself a little bit more time to let that toner work. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, I'm going into this whole front section here. Okay, so wait, we finished this at 21 then, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's a little Tetris game today. This is me though, you guys. Anytime Draco sends me their new colors to start playing with, my doll heads get crazy. But it's actually really fun and it's super fascinating. I try to video each section too, so I have that as a reference. Anytime I'm going, or like, you know, we get those days at the salon where we're just like, I don't know, I'm blacking out right now. I don't know what to tone her with. I've been doing hair 20 years and I still don't know what to tone her with, right? It happens. So I keep kind of a little Draco folder on my phone, and I keep those notes with a little visual in there as well. Okay, I'm gonna switch and show you guys kind of a different toning brush I'll use too. This is the Sheila Stotts. I didn't even tell you guys about the other one, but the Sheila has metal bristles here, okay? And it just really, really helps to drag that product all the way through. I love, love, love this one for dragging it all the way down. It just feels like it glides through the hair so easily. And the Lumishine product is extremely conditioning. And then on top of that, you have the coconut developer with it. So I've never had issues where I'm like, you know, getting through the hair by any means. But a good brush is going to help you obviously really saturate the hair. And I will do the same sometimes on my low lighting techniques. I'll take the brush, go really good right in at the base and the scalp, and press and then drag all the way through. Now the product is just kind of slowly dispersing, right? So by the time I get through the ends, it's not like I'm putting a glob of color, and then I won't be getting those cheetah spots or whatever we want to call them. Okay, so I have 7G through my front. The other brush that I will use for toning a lot is, and this kind of depends too on the texture of the hair I'm working with. If I have hair that I'm having a hard time getting through, usually that's fine hair for me, then I'll use something more like my metal brush, okay? My really I'd say porous and very fine-haired blondes, I'll use my Sheila Stotts. My thicker, coarser, I'll go to, this is called the Tangle Teaser. Tangle Tamer. Not teaser. Tangle Tamer. Okay? And this is the other one that I'll use starting right from the base, pressing all the way down one fell swoop. Okay? Then you can kind of clean off your ends if you feel like you need to do it again. But typically, usually once is enough to kind of then blend that line. And a lot of people like to come in and do it like this, but just be mindful that you're moving product when you do that. So I like to try to not do that, and it's one fell swoop for me. If anything, I would go in with my hands and I would do a little smudging if I felt like I still needed to smudge a line where I wanted the ends to feel a little bit lighter. Okay, let's check this timing so you guys can see how this is starting to shift. Where I really notice with the NBs is at the 10-minute mark. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, now I see it, cooling it down. Same thing for the G. Let's go back to the G really quick. The G to me, can you guys get in here close, is almost, ooh, it actually looks beautiful on the camera. Okay, so the G to me sometimes appears cool, like a cool tone. And sometimes I'm like, wait, what? I just put straight gold on my client. Again, at the 10-minute mark, when you're in these deeper shades in the 7s, is when I really start to see that color shine. Okay, so just being mindful of that when you guys are toning with Lumishines. Let's compare the G together real quick. Here, you can see what's happening. It's pretty actually similar right now. We're only at a couple minutes on that, huh? So let's keep watching that one. I feel like this one goes through like a cool phase and then it jumps back into the warm again. All right, what time we got, Avery? For the
11:27.
Okay.
And we have a question.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Does atmosphere temperature, body, salon have an impact? How do you control it?
I love that question. I think that people are going to answer this differently. I really believe that if it's colder, it slows it down. And maybe, I think Ashley's on here from Joico. From like the scientist perspective, you can possibly answer this too. So, especially in the summertime when you have the AC blasting, I move my clients away from any direct coolness because to me, I feel like it does slow it down. When I'm at the bowl working with them, I continually am working my hands through the product. Do you have to? No. But for me, I just find that like I like the result of it, and for me, I think it moves it a little bit faster when I can keep the warmth going through the hair. And again, like I said, I'm a big flash toner. I like to be at the bowl. My taps will sit much longer. They'll sit like 15 to 20 minutes, but my all-over flash toning sits 5 minutes and I'm good to go. And it's just kind of how I formulate based on the porosity. And it's just my timing in the salon, what works best for me as a stylist. So I don't know if Ashley, if you feel any differently about that, or if Joico's scientist would say any differently, but yes. Personally, yes. And actually this hair is kind of freezing right now. It's freezing. Okay, let's go back. That's a great question though. Let me go back here to, we've been at 10, 11 minutes on this.
Yes.
Let's see if we can smudge some of this off. And see if we've gotten a little on the softer. Yeah, you guys see how we have more depth into this color now. It's not so intense feeling. Okay, and if you're at a level 7, again, this is doll head hair. She could probably sit longer, but also I'm not mad at this color at all. This feels very soft, very beautiful. It feels exactly like what I would picture a warm copper. Okay, that's what the WC is, the warm copper. Okay, can you guys see that? Right, and it's super shiny. Obviously I didn't wash that or anything, but way different and way less intense than what it looks like when it's oxidizing. See the softness in there? And then again, here's the end results of that one is here. And you can see, like, so this is on darker hair even, and then this is on the hair where it was like really blonde. And you see how much dimension that gives? Again, this is not a technique I'm showing you guys. This I just wanted you to see a very face value and right up, because I think as an educator, this is the step that sometimes is the hardest to show. I even know, like, when we're doing stage work and stuff, it's very hard to show toning because you got to move so quickly, right? And especially on like a real person. So I was excited about this live for you guys to watch it in action. I know it's kind of boring, But again, speed up the videos if you want. Save these, speed them up, so that you can really watch, like almost in a time-lapsed form, what's happening with these toners, especially if you haven't tried these 3 new shades by Joico. Get in there and practice with them. I would say I use the level 9s a ton right now. I'm using the taps, or the 7s a ton in my tapping, and then balancing that out, I'm using the WCs, the 7s, the 5, the 6, and all my cowboy coppers, because Joico also has an NC mixed with a WC, has been a perfect cowboy copper, I like to call it cowgirl copper, color that has been, and even sometimes a little G in there too, depending on how much reflection you need, and again, how porous that client is. That has been like a go-to formulation right now in that fall trend.
We are at 11:31.
Okay, 11:31. Okay, so come in tight here real quick. Let me show you guys the NB, and you can see how much softer this has gotten too. Not so yellow, right? And it has added like a little bit of a cooling color to that brown. You guys can see that. It still is a warm shade with a lot of shine, but it's neutralizing. This is actually probably my absolute favorite low light is this NB. If you guys need this over blondes, because then this mixed with a beautiful blonde, cool or warm, that's like such a stunning shade. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, and then let's see, the G. So if I'm doing my hairline, remember again, I would never let this sit as long. Oh yeah, that's looking more creamy and delicious. Can you guys see that? You see how it almost has like a slight, when it's in more like a shadow look, it looks a little cooler than when I bring it up into the light. And again, those are all things to be mindful of. Everyone's shampoo bowls have way different lighting, but do you see the warmth I'm getting off of that? When I pull it off, the toner off in the middle, I'm getting so much more warmth is actually under there. Right? You guys see that? So fun, right? This is what's so cool about toners and how much you can customize different looks for your clients, you guys, just by learning the toning tools that you have, mixing in clear, using conditioner on our ends. We can kind of revisit here. You see how this is creating such a beautiful softness? Can you guys see that? And there's no stripes happening in there. This is all the lighter bits that are still staying lighter, and then you see her depth through there, like perfect low light. This one was the one I used conditioner just on the ends, and then I just combed and brushed all the way through. Okay? All right, you guys, so that's my tone-in tips for you today. I hope that you guys are able to try these new shades by Joico. They're kicking butt for me right now. I absolutely love them. I'm going to share some before and after photos on my story today. My Instagram is Jill901. Salon Centric will keep this live posted for, I think they said 24 hours, so anything you need to go back and reference, or please send me a DM at Jill901 if you have any other questions about anything within the Joico Lumishine shades. Thanks. We'll see you next time.